Welcome back, Oldhammerers. Time to grab your favourite beverage, kick back as we dive into an army list review of one of my favourite armies, the Dwarfs. All this and more on Solo Oldhammer Gaming. Yes, so welcome back, Oldhammerers. This is Brett from Solo Oldhammer Gaming. I've cracked open a Paulana, my favourite beer. Meant to be sleeping because I've got a night shift tonight. It's 4,000 degrees outside here in Australia, so I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd do a video. So we're going to do a army review on the Dwarfs. Haven't done one of these for a while, so this should be good. But if you want to grab your Warhammer Armies book, we're on page 100 of the book, and we'll dive right in. So Dwarfs, one of my favourite armies in Warhammer 3rd edition. The miniatures are absolutely awesome. Love them to pieces. Fun to paint. I've been actually quite lucky and gotten a few through some different lots and stuff on eBay and in the bits box. I've got a 1,000-point dwarf army at the moment, but yeah, room to take it up to maybe 3,000 at this rate with what I've got. I haven't got any long beards as yet. I've got a few artillery pieces and stuff, so looking good. But from the army list, the usual blurb straight out about dwarves and how they fit in, that they're love of regalia, painter's dream actually. Dwarven units sport uniforms and shields and standards and surcoats and bears, and you can paint some awesome standards for this lot. Top of the tail, you'll notice that a basic dwarf warrior is pretty hard. About the only thing that's, well, there's two things actually that are not too good, is his movement of 3 and initiative of 2. They're 8 points each, but you've got 4 weapon skill and 4 toughness, so pretty hard. So your average human or goblin, as we saw in the battle report, will be needing 5s to wound because they've only got 3 strength. But once you start getting into heroes to lead the units, like even a level 10 hero has leadership 10+1. So they're very, very... these guys are not going to melt away, so to speak, and they're on the 20x20 basis. But yeah, if you're following along in the book, you can see how the points costs go up. Dwarf Wizards. That's different from other editions. Dwarves had wizards in this edition. We'll get to that. It does cover that in the army list about how they're different, and just a little bit, mostly not as good as other races that use magic. That's, yeah, you talk to Warhammer players now or old world, and yeah, they wouldn't even know that dwarves used to have wizards in 3rd edition. I think it was in 4th and 5th when they changed that to like runesmiths and that. So yeah, interesting bit of trivia. But there's also gnomes. You can also take gnomes for a dwarven army. It's a little bit different. They've still got the same weapon skill, 4 weapon skill. Leadership is not as good as a dwarf warrior, but that's reflected in the price of only 5 points. But they do move quicker, probably because childhood was spent watching David the Gnome. He zipped around a little bit on the forest floor, so there you go. And they're on 20x20s as well. Now, dwarf armies are neutral. They also have some psychology attached to them. They hate goblinoids. Hate can be a really, really good for different armies, and they hate orcs, goblins, hobgoblins, and snotlings. They also suffer animosity against friendly units of elves because of the War of the Beard. And some troops are subject to frenzy, but that's in the that'll tell you in the actual army lists as well. So that's page 1. We've got some really nice banners there, some really nice shield designs, and we'll get on to the next page. So this is page 2 of the army list for the Dwarfs, page 101 if you're following along in your copy of Warhammer Armies, and my second Paulana. So can't guarantee the quality as we go along. I think there's 6 pages, and yeah, no, I'm not having 6 500mm Paulanas, so quality should still be alright. But we come to army selection next, and rank and file troops. We're looking at minimum of half of our army point total, a maximum of the whole army point total less 1 hero. I usually do 1,000 point battles just to get an army just started, so I don't lower the minimums for those troops, so that way I can get the core of the army painted up straight away. So minimum amount of warriors and things that need to be taken for dwarf armies. Character models, 1 hero, he'll be your general, that's the minimum. You can have up to half your points, army points total. Heroes, 1 model as well, it's your general as well. Half army's points total. Wizards, maximum of 2 models of wizards. Bit of a restriction, don't see that on other armies, but that's just to reflect the way that dwarf armies don't really get into magic and all that. But I did hear the other day about Warhammer 3rd edition. It was on the podcast for Crown of Command, and they were talking to Emil, who should actually be coming to have a battle soon, so it won't be solo Oldhammer gaming. So, and he was saying that 3rd edition is really the edition for storytelling, and that's things like that where you can only take two wizards that really strike home for me that, yeah, 3rd edition is storytelling, and so long as you're not playing with a power gamer who can manipulate the lists, you can have fun in every battle, you know. It doesn't become rolling dice for this unit versus that. It becomes, in your mind's eye, the swing of an axe or a sword, or the thrust of a pike, the charge of a heavily armed horse and knight. So that's what I really love about 3rd edition. When I play out these battle reports, I just see the dice as a medium for working out what happened. In my mind's eye, I don't see the actual rolling of the dice. Yeah, just a little sidebar, so to speak. But allies, you can take up a quarter of your points in allies. Mercenaries as well, a quarter. Eternal hosts, a quarter, or monstrous hosts as well. A dwarf army may include a baggage train at no extra cost. I think that's 5 unarmed villager models or dwarf models per 1,000 points with like a baggage or something like that. Character models and heroes and wizards, the player may spend up to half the army's point total value on character models. The dwarf army may have up to 35 character models in total, and must have at least 1 dwarf character. He's the general, so it's pretty much just what we went over. The general must lead the army and will be the character model with the highest leadership characteristic, which is pretty good for dwarves actually, because even at a level 10, your character has 10 plus 1 as leadership, so very stalwart. They're not going to melt away, well, hopefully. Well, if you roll an 11 or 12, then you're fucked, actually. So that's the rare occasion. I think I did allow the dwarves to get out-scouted in the battle report. It might have been different if I didn't use that as an example to showing you guys the way you did deployment in 3rd edition, how different it is to 4th and 5th and all other editions afterwards. But just there it lists the points cost for characters, for equipment, hand weapons, armor. If I've got a couple of points left over, or even 5 or 6 points left over, I'll chuck a pistol on a character just to spend those points and give them something to do in the shooting phase. We then come to the right hand side of the page, and These are our minimums and maximums for heroes. So we can have a total of 33 heroes. No more than half the army's points total may be used on them. Each level hero is given there. So normal dwarves, we can have 6 level 5s, 6 level 10s, 4 level 15s, 3 level 20s, and 2 level 25s. I don't usually use 25s unless I'm fighting a big battle. I think it's maximum level 10 for 1,000 points that I use. I use the points costs and that, the differing points costs and things for on Blue, I think his name was. Does a lot of, he did a lot of stuff for Oldhammer back in the day, so I've downloaded his guides and house rules and stuff, and I do use a lot of those. Slayers, we're looking at 2 Troll Slayers at level 5, 1 level 10, 1 level 15, Giant Slayer at level 20, one of those, and 1 level 25. Giant Slayer Death Weird at level 25 as well. You can take 2 champions for Troll Slayers and Giant Slayer units, but we'll come to that. Gnomes, we're looking at 2 level 5s, 1 level 10, 1 level 15, 1 level 20, and 1 level 25. These are the heroes and what levels you can have maximums. Levels 5 and 10 must be assigned to specific units, as always, like every other army list. Hero leaders are referred to as champions. Champions are part of the unit. They are assigned and cannot leave. Levels 15, 20, and 25 may be assigned to specific units as champions. If the player wishes, alternatively, they may be left as independent, free to associate with any unit in a normal way, or be mounted on a awesome beast if they're in a different army and run around like that. Here we go. Troll and Giant Slayer characters. Dwarven Troll and Giant Slayers are members of a morbid dwarf death cult, sworn to hunt down and destroy large terrifying monsters, or die in the attempt. They are easily recognised by their spiky orange hair and overabundance of ornate jewellery. Troll Slayers are immune to fear caused by living creatures. They are also Giant Slayers are also immune to fear. And Troll Slayer characters level 5 and 10. They have to be assigned to units of Troll Slayers. They're the champions of those units. 2 or more Troll Slayer characters may be assigned to a single unit in this way. So that's a little bit something different compared to other armies. That you're able to take 2 champions in a unit of Troll Slayers. Troll Slayers are level 15, may either act as champions of Troll Slayer units, or may be left as independent, free to associate with any units, as per the rules for champions. Giant Slayers may act as champions of a Giant Slayer unit, or may be left as independent characters, free to associate with any unit. That's because they're level 20 and 25. Gnome units may not have dwarven champions, nor dwarves gnomes. They won't associate with each other, so you have to have a gnome character leading a gnome unit if you so choose. Now, bombardiers, up to 4 heroes may be designated as bombardiers, indicating their skill and experience with engines of war. A bombardier will cost you an extra 20 points and considered to be a champion of the individual artillery battery. Now, a bombardier will give you some different benefits and things. So they can serve as an extra crew member, and an engine that's been fired by a bombardier is more likely to hit. So if the shot misses, and generally that's on a d20 roll of a 1 to 12, but we'll go through that for like stone engines and things, he may reduce the deviation distance by 1 or 2 inches. So if the shot misses by 1 or 2 inches, it is regarded as a hit. Miss of 4 may be reduced to 2, so we can pretty much cut it in half. Bolt throwers hit with an assumed ballistic skill 3, giving a normal hit on a 4, 5, or 6. If the bombardier is with the engines, he may give a +1. He's a better aimer than what they've got. Cannons and organ guns hit their target automatically, but a bombardier will be able to lay the weapon so as to cause maximum amount of damage, and the number of wounds caused upon the target unit is increased by +1. For example, a 3-man cannon usually does D4 wounds per hit. If the bombardier is present, it will cause D4 +1. I don't know if that's really that beneficial, to be quite honest, because you can't kill something with D4 wounds, then I suppose like it'll be causing a minimum of 2 wounds then, instead of 1. So that's. But is it worth 20 points? Don't know. I don't know if it's worth 20 points, but yeah, I'll have to have a think about that. But also for skyrockets, may be targeted more accurately with a bombardier, allowing the player to reposition the target point within 3 inches of its landing point. This does not affect kamikaze rockets, which are self-guided, and yeah, bombardiers 20 points each. So that's page 2 completed, and we'll move on to the one and only page 3. So page 3 here, we've got some gorgeous art. We have at the very top a dwarf crossbowman taking aim. Such troops are valuable defenders of dwarf strongholds, and also a minimum in the dwarf army. A dwarf spellcaster there with a green orb. Gorgeous art. Then in the center row, we've got a dwarf clansman with an axe, dwarf warlord, ruler of a stronghold, very nice, and dwarf hammerer, an elite warrior, 2-handed weapon. And on the very bottom row, a quintessential troll slayer, looking friggin' awesome, tatted up, orange mohawk, very, very Warhammery, and a dwarf veteran, a longbeard, as they're known, because they're a lot older. Some good ideas for some shield designs there, especially that yellow axe. The yellow and the black axe one, that looks really good, sort of like a dwarven yin yang. Very nice. And we'll get on to the next one. So page 4, or 103 in the Army's book, if you're following along, is an absolute gorgeous vest. We've got some really good ideas for shield designs and banners. Very nice. The art throughout this rulebook is just incredible, to be quite honest. Just can't get any better than Oldhammer art, I think. But we'll keep cracking on and get on to page 104 in the Army book. So after the eye candy for the Dwarf Army, we come to more of the Army lists, and we come on Wizards. Now you can only have a maximum of 2 Wizards. Wizards can either act independently as champions, or can be out on their own as heroes. The maximum number of wizards available at each level is given. Now you're allowed 2 level 5s, 2 level 10s, 1 level 15, 1 level 20, 1 level 25. Now there's spells that they can generate. At level 5, they're magic level 1, they can have 3 spells. Level 10, they're allowed 6 spells, magic level 1. Level 15, 2 magic level 2, and they're allowed 6 level 1s and 3 level 2s. Going on, level 20, magic level 3, They can have 6 level 1s, 3 level 2s, and 3 level 3s. Level 25, the creme de la creme. That's your Forge Mage, and he's packing Magic level 4, and he's 6 level 1s, 3 level 2s, 3 level 3s, and 3 level 4s. All spells are generated randomly with the appropriate battle magic. Dwarf Wizard may also use other sorts of magic if the player chooses. Each Dwarf Wizard may generate up to 1 elemental, 1 necromantic, and 1 demonic spell per level instead of the battle magic spell of the same level. Now, magic items can carry a limited amount of magic items, paying the points indicated in the magic items chart. For a weapon, that's usually base of 25 plus any specialties that you want on it. These are paid for out of the character model allowance and selected from the following list. Any character model may carry 1 magic weapon with up to 3 magic attributes. Level 20 may carry a weapon with up to 4. A level 25 may carry a weapon with up to 5. Wizards may have up to 3 scrolls. Each scroll may contain up to 3 different level 1 or 2 spells. And up to 3 character models may have a ring with a spell of level 1, 2, or 3. Up to 5 character models may be equipped with magic armor other than mithril. There is no restrictions on mithril for dwarves, because they basically produce it. And the army standard may have up to 3 magical abilities. Now, a minimum of half of the army's points total must be spent on rank and file troops. All units are automatically assumed to have a leader with the same profile, unless they have a champion. Any unit may be given a standard bearer and or musician. Standard bearers and musicians must be equipped in exactly the same way as the rest of the unit, and standard bearers and musicians cost double points value of a basic trooper. Any unit indicated may convert an ordinary standard into a magic standard with a single ability. The ability may have a points value up to the amount shown. The specific ability must be chosen and noted down before the game, and any unit indicated may convert an ordinary musical instrument into a magical instrument with a single ability, or magical instruments cost an extra 25 points. Specific ability must be chosen and noted down before the game. Then you can cross-reference that with page 16 in the Warhammer Armies booklet. Now we come to the actual meat and potatoes of the list, the actual army list itself. Now this is the meat and potatoes of the list, page 105 of the Warhammer Armies book for Dwarfs. We're looking at 0 to 20 hammerers. You can only take a maximum of 20 hammerers. These guys are your +4 shock elites. Now they usually have a hand weapon and double-handed weapon. They also come packing with heavy armor and a shield. They can take a magical standard for 100 points and magical instrument for 25. They're 16 points each. That's pretty expensive. But they've got 9 leadership, 2 attacks. The initiative is basic for other troops. I'm trying to think. I think goblins only got like 2, and humans have only got 2 themselves. But the biggie is that weapon skill 5. That weapon skill 5 is absolutely awesome, as well as the strength 4 and toughness 4. Your basic dwarf is also never going to get worse than 3 movement. Doesn't matter what he's equipped with, he is not going to suffer from movement allowance penalties for having heavy armor and things like that. He's strong, stocky, and used to moving heavy stuff. Next is Dwarf Clansmen. You can have up to 40 of these guys in units of 20 to 40. They're your +1 shock elite, so they will have a weapon skill increase. They only come with 1 attack, but that biggie there is leadership 9. So even with a level 10 champion or a hero attached to the unit, they're going to have that +1 to take them up to 10 with the leader. They come with hand weapons, light armor and shield, and also can have a double-handed weapon if you like, magic instrument, and heavy armor instead of light armor. If you take the heavy armor, then they're packing at 13 points a model, but you still get your movement 3, so that's never going to change. Ironbreakers, got a unit of these guys. They're your +3 shock elites. They're 15 points a model. They come armed with a hand weapon, heavy armor, and shield. You can take double-handed weapons for these guys. They can also have a magic standard and a magical instrument for 50 and 25 points respectively. Good unit, solid, 10 to 20 per unit. Standard when it's 0 to 20. These guys are packing a lot of stuff. They've got that 9 leadership as well, 3 initiative, which is really good, 5 weapon skill. Other good thing is the 4 strength and 4 toughness. So they're very, very hard troops. Very nice, but you do pay for them. Dwarf crossbowmen, you have to have a minimum of 20 of these. So in a 1,000-point army, I would take the 20. So that way the core of the army is bulked out. They come in units of 10 to 30. 13 points per model. A little bit up there for missile troops, basic missile troops for an army. Come with crossbow and a hand weapon and light armor. May be given shields. One unit may have double-handed weapons, and one unit may substitute heavy armor for light armor. 3 movement again, 4 weapon skill, which is really good for a missile troop. 3 ballistic skill, about the standard minimum. 3 strength. That 4 toughness is the star of the show, especially against normal troops. 1 wound is normal, 2 initiative, 9 leadership. 7 intelligence as well, so it's not too bad, average, but the cool and the willpower of 9, like for all their troops, is pretty good as well, because they can leech off the champion with his pluses if he's higher than level 10 or level 10 or higher. Longbeards here. I haven't got a unit of Longbeards as yet. I want to get the I did see the Longbeards with the 2-handed weapons, the more modern ones, but I'd much rather the Marauder ones, I think, with just standard weapons and that, because I can always just say counts as is with double-handed weapons, because these guys come, they're a +2 elite, so their weapon skills 5. They also have initiative of 3, that really good leadership of 9, 14 points per model. That's up there again, but that's a pretty good price to pay for +2 shock elites. Come with a hand weapon, heavy armor and shield, so still going to be moving at 3. Any unit can have double-handed weapons, and 1 unit may have flails. Don't usually use flails. I'm not really that crash hot on the initiative like penalties and bonuses and things. I'd much rather just take double-handed weapons. Standard magic standard can be taken for 25 points instead of the 50 for the other units, like your iron breakers or your hammers. Well, hammers is 100 points, but yeah, 25 points for the longbeards, and magical instrument of 25. God, can't word. And got some nice shield designs there and a really good looking banner. So that's that part of the army list. So we're into page 7 of the army list, or 106 in the Warhammer Armies book, and we come to our Dwarf Warriors. Now these are our basic guys for the Dwarf army. You have to have a minimum of 40. They can be in units of 20 to 40. I would take the 40 with the crossbowmen, so for 1,000 points. It doesn't give you many options at 1,000 points, but that way the bulk of the army is completed, and any minimums that you need for that army are already there. Then you can flesh out the army more points wise with different sorts of troops, like thunderers and things like that. 10 points per model. That's a bit for a basic trooper with a hand weapon and light armor. Any unit is allowed the option of a double-handed weapon or spears or shields. One unit is allowed the option of pikes, and I will be doing that because there's nothing I like more than a pike block in my armies, like as displayed with my Empire army. And one unit can also be given crossbows, but that's your basic troops, and they are not bad. With a level 10 hero, they'll have leadership 10 because of his 10 plus 1, and weapon skill 4, toughness 4. That's your bread and butter. So Dwarf Warriors, well hard. And Thunderers next. Can only take 0 to 20 Thunderers in this edition. Gunpowder was still seen as a new kid on the block as compared to like bows and crossbows. I know that as the editions went on, more and more gunpowder weapons started coming along. But 0 to 20 Thunderers, 13 points each. Bit expensive. They're armed with arquebuses and hand weapon plus light armor. Got the option of double-handed weapon if you like, but they still come with that weapon skill 4. Now here we come to a cool unit, Troll Slayers. You're limited to 20 of these guys. Models per unit is usually 10 to 20. 8 points, but they come with just a hand weapon. Now in my units I'll have Troll Slayers with 2 axes, 1 axe and a shield, 2-headed weapons, double-handed weapon, and I'll just let my opponent know at the start like what they're armed with, because sometimes in different lots you can only get what you can get, and I think a Troll Slayer unit looks better with different weapon options in it. It's more ragtag. I like that look, but the unit itself can have an additional hand weapon, double-handed weapon, shields, and light armor. You can take light armor. Now, they are immune to fear of living creatures. Troll Slayers and young dwarves have been crossed in love or have suffered some great personal calamity, such as their grief, that they dedicate their lives to seeking out and slaying their race's most dangerous enemies, hoping to die in the attempt. Troll Slayers are favoured adversaries because they are very difficult to kill, and thus the dwarf can be fairly certain of a swift end. Troll Slayers adopt easily recognisable and rather extreme appearances, usually including orange spiky hair, ornate jewellery, and tattoos. They are immune to fear caused by living creatures and are also subject to a frenzy. So, not a bad troop type at 8 points. The only problem is no saving throw. No basic saving throw. Giant Slayers, you're limited to 10 of these guys. Looking at them, they come in units of 5 to 10, 8 points per model as well. Same as the Troll Slayers. They are also given the option of additional hand weapons, double-handed weapons, shields, or light armor. They can only be led by a Giant Slayer character though. So that's, you're getting up there a bit with like level 10, level 20, 25. for that, so that can be a bit of a problem. Unsuccessful Troll Slayers, well, those that fail get themselves killed anyway. Seek out larger and more fearsome monsters in order to bring about their death. Successful Troll Slayers are, of course, dead, and these tough individuals are called Giant Slayers, as they often go around looking for giants. They look very much like Troll Slayers, but tend to be rather more angst-ridden and terribly scarred as a result of their violent lifestyles. Giant Slayers are immune to fear caused by living creatures and are subject to frenzy. In addition, they cannot be routed from hand-to-hand combat. Now, that's a biggie for 8 points, but you've only got 5 to 10. So, I'd be taking a unit of them. Hell yeah. They wouldn't have a leader, though. That's the only problem about that. So you won't get that 9 leadership. But they're immune to fear anyway, from living creatures anyway. If you come up against some undead or something, or a demon, that's an entirely different thing. And to finish it off, we have the crack unit of Prince Ulthar's Imperial Dwarfs, the Dragon Company, which I actually secured the other day. So, very happy about that. But we'll get on to the next part in our army review. Now, this is where we get on to some fun stuff in the army list for the Dwarfs. Page 107 of the Warhammer Armies book, if you're following along. We have our Sappers. Now, Sappers are 15 points each, so that's pretty expensive. They do go around in units of 2. You can have 0 to 12 Sappers, and they form little teams of 2, and they are usually armed with a double-handed weapon and a hand weapon and light armor, and they may substitute heavy armor for light armor. Now, a Sapper will let you construct different things, like you're allowed to build stockades. So a Sapper itself will operate in a team of 2. If one is killed, the team is useless, although spare models may group together to make full teams if they can. Now, a Sapper team may move up to 1 inch during its movement phase and still be able to construct different things as described. If the team moves more than 1 inch, it may not construct that turn. Sappers may not reserve move during any turn in which they construct things. You can build stockades, so stockades are built at a rate of 1 inch per team member per turn. 2 or more teams may work on the same stockade to increase the rate of construction. Stockades count as hard cover and a defended obstacle. Sappers can also build bridges over rivers and ravines or ditches. A bridge constructed in this way is 1.5 inches wide. Bridges constructed at the rate of 1 inch per team member per turn. Now, 2 teams can only work on the same bridge if one team is on one side of the river or the ravine and the other team is on the other side, and then they meet in the middle. Sappers can also demolish things, and they can be used to attack walls, buildings, or existing constructions in the same way as normal troops, but are permitted 3 attacks per turn and are considered to be armed with double-handed hammers when this happens. Now, Sappers cost an extra 3 points each, and that's added after the points for their equipment. So that gives them a total points value of 15. Never used them. I wouldn't mind actually doing 12 Sappers just to have them there. I think I'd probably use Dwarf Miner miniatures for those, but that can be quite handy actually. You can get a good position and start building some stockades, and because they count as heavy cover and also defended obstacles, so not bad. We've got our gnomes next. We can have up to 50 gnomes. They are in units of 10 to 20. They are armed with a hand weapon and don't come with any armor, but they're only 5 points each. Now they got movement 4 and weapon skill 4, but only toughness 2. So these poor little guys might be getting splattered for sure compared to the rest of the army. Leadership 8, so not as good as Dwarfs, but still not bad, not too bad. Leadership 8. They can have shields, double-handed weapons, spears, light armor, and heavy armor. If I was going to take them, I'd probably take them with spears. Spears, light armor, and shields, I reckon. That movement 4 just means they can get into different positions. If they can get into a defended obstacle, like a wall or a hedge or a sapper-built blockade, you're laughing. That brings us to the next part of the fun part of the Dwarf Army list, the war engines. You can have up to 12 war engines, units of up to 6 units of 1 to 4 war engines each. Now that includes 0 to 4 3-man bolt throwers, 0 to 2 4-man bolt throwers, 0 to 3 3-man stone throwers, 0 to 2 3-man cannons, 0 to 3 organ guns, 0 to 1 3-man organ guns, 0 to 1 3-man flame cannons, 0 to 3 2-man fire throwers. I haven't got any fire throwers, but I definitely want to get some. I've always loved that miniature, and I've always wanted to paint it. Any battery can have these options for their crew as well, so we're looking at light armor for an extra 2 points and heavy armor for 3 points. I've got a few cannons. I've got no stone throwers. I've always wanted a goblobber. Always wanted one of those. I don't think I've got any bolt. Actually, I've got one bolt thrower for my army and an organ gun and a flame cannon. But definitely want some 2-man fire throwers because those miniatures are the bomb. I love them. Always wanted to paint them. I haven't got one yet, but that's going to be sorted out quite soon. Now, the last part of the page for the army list on page 107, there's some more eye candy, which I'm quite happy about. Nice looking banner. I really like that. The shield design doesn't seem to be too complicated. It actually looks like a molded shield to me, with a hammer and a Warhammer on it, crossed. So it was very cool. Army Warhammer regiments miniatures with the horns and the, I guess you'd call them like a Saxon helmet, I suppose. Not sure what to call that. With the nose guard. Do love that musician. I haven't got that musician, but yeah, that's going to be remedied. I do like the big drum. It looks awesome. But yeah, there's one tracking down still, and just a really good looking unit. And that brings us to our next part. So page 108 of the army list for the dwarves, it tells us that we can take skirmishes for the army. Only the following units may operate as skirmishes though. If you do, skirmishing units must be noted down before the battle. The maximum size of the skirmishing unit is 15. You may take one skirmishing unit of crossbowmen and one skirmishing unit of thunderers. That's it. No more skirmishing units. Bit restrictive, but yeah, dwarves are very much regimented. Baggage. Dwarves are organised and disciplined people. That's reflected in their well-ordered and provisioned baggage trains. So you get a dwarf baggage train will consist of 1 wagon and 5 dwarves per 1,000 points in the army. Dwarves with a baggage have standard dwarf profiles, are unarmoured and use improvised weapons. You could get some dwarven villagers to be baggage people. That'd be cool. Probably put a blacksmith in there somewhere. A kiln cart for baking bread. That'd be awesome. That would be quite good. Now we come to allies for our dwarf armies. Dwarves are naturally suspicious of other races and generally rather untrusting, but they're also very, very loyal. And those they do trust and expect such loyalty to be repaid in kind. A dwarf's word is forged in iron, as the saying goes, and a dwarf's memory is carved upon stone. By calling upon his allies, a dwarf is asking for a debt to be repaid, and woe betide any who would-be ally who fails to do so. You can take halflings and old world allies as a dwarf army. So seeing some halflings out there would be quite cool. Mercenaries. Dwarves are not known for their financial extravagance, that's for sure. Dwarves are renowned for being very short-armed and deep-pocketed. A dwarf commander would probably pale at the merest thought of actually spending money to buy fighting troops. However, sometimes desperate times can force desperate decisions. So you'd be looking at Old World, Norse, and Ogres for your mercenaries. The dwarf wizard can also magically bind a monstrous or ethereal host prior to the game, whether monstrous or ethereal hosts represent creatures or spirits with which the dwarves have formed some sort of bond or pact. So we're looking at bears, boars, dragon, up to one dragon, giant bats, giant spiders, swarms, warhounds, and ethereal hosts may be ghosts, spectres, wights, and wraiths. The one thing that didn't really mention during the army list deep dive is wizards for dwarves. Now, wizards for dwarves are a little bit worse than other characters. Well, is it a little bit or is it a lot of bit? I have to decide. I'll just find it. Looking. Here we go. So dwarves are a materialistic and practical people that are not naturally inclined towards the study of magic, and their wizards tend to be less powerful than those of other races. Dwarf wizards therefore have only half the power level of an equivalent human wizard. Dwarf wizards may substitute one necromantic, demonic, or elemental spell for any battle magic spell. And I'll just make sure that that's the same in the army listers. That usually talks about that in where wizards and stuff are. And that was this page. Yeah, see in the army list it doesn't mention anything like that about being half power level. I don't know if they did that, but I'd still go with the description of them in Intelligent Races and the Beastry. So that's what I'd do with that. That's where you get your other rules from, especially like Troll Slayers and stuff. But yeah, that's our dwarves. That's our dwarf army list, and the very last page is some more eye candy. A couple of good banners. I really like that fist one. That's cool. And we'll come to get to that one. So our very last page of the dwarf army list book, 109 in Warhammer Armies, is another A4 dwarf drawing. Like I said, that banner with the fist looks really good. I wish they actually did a 3,000 point army for every race, like they did with Orcs and Goblins and Bretonnians, and where the designers and the painters actually showed their armies. That I would have loved something like that for the Dwarves. That would have looked absolutely awesome. I would have loved that for all the armies. Would have been a good base to know what to start collecting. But yeah, that leaves us with our eye candy there. Looks like a fortress. Hard to see what the banner in the background is up on the battlements, but that's okay. There's two good banners there. And that pretty much leaves us to climbing that mountain again as we get on to another topic. Not sure what the next video will be, but there you go. And other than that, just want to remind you guys, thank you for subscribing and sticking around. It does mean a lot. We're still climbing that mountain. Never ever stop, I don't think. But yeah, other than that, just stay cool, stay Oldhammer.